Hello AP students, I've seen you finish your vocab test and now you're watching this video on how to do our change in continuity over time essay. First off, I want you to note that I've changed the question slightly, which will help us with our answers here. What I want you to do is, just like on here, cross out were, and we're going to make it what changes in continuities occurred, you're going to spell it right, there we go, occurred in cross-cultural exchanges from the classical era to the post-classical era. So occurred in cross-cultural exchanges. So this means basically any of the real effects that happen in cross-cultural exchanges from the classical to the post-classical. So in class we talked about the spread of religions, and let me kind of show you what I have here for the paragraph for a starter. Where did I go? Did I disappear? Am I still here? All right, so here is kind of like a sample paragraph I wrote for how to begin this, and so take a look at it here. You can start off with a simple sentence like, the spread of religions was a continuity from the classical era to the post-classical era. In the classical era, Buddhism and Christianity were able to spread in East Asia and the Roman Empire. So what I do is I first introduce the classical era detail. So, and there I put Buddhism and Christianity, and I put East Asia and Roman Empire because that's where they spread. Then you add 1 to 2 details about how each spread, or about how one of them spread if you pick one. So it's kind of like you give your classical era example and then give a couple details about it. Then when you start the post-classical, simply begin with, in the post-classical era, I put Buddhism and Christianity continued to spread, because they did, but so did Islam. And then I'm going to add all the details about Islam spreading, 3 or 4 of them. When in doubt, put too much. Remember, on the actual AP exam, there will be a time limit for your completion, so you'll want to get the big important details down there first. So look at this. This is kind of a template for how you can write the first body paragraph and how you can write any continuity paragraphs. But we're going to need to have at least 1 change paragraph in here. The best is the rule of 3, and we use that for our thesis statement as well. So religion is a great answer for this one. It's probably the most obvious one you can get, and you're going to have an awesome paragraph for that. But what else could I write about besides religion? We got the merchant and diasporic communities. There's a possibility, if you wanted to, you could write about the Jewish diaspora, which was in Era 2, where the Jewish people were forced to leave their homes from Rome. And you could say how it was a continuity or a change compared to diasporic communities of this time period. You could put that as a change because some diasporic communities, like the Muslims, chose to move. That would be a possibility that you could write down. Another one that I found in here that you might be able to use is, don't underestimate these prezzies that are in here. And there was one prezzy that I found that was pretty beneficial here. And which one is it? Oh yeah, this one right here, on the influence of Greek and Indian mathematics on Muslim scholars. So if we go to that prezzy, and here it is loading, so this will just take a second. All right, so we're on this prezzy, and I was thinking, well, I got to do a change paragraph, and I got to do a continuity. This one could work either. Nick and Melody, whoever you are, thank you very much. And let's take a look at this one. Let me move there so I can bigulate that. And if we look here at this one, it's talking about Indian and Greek mathematics. So I could write that cross-cultural exchanges were a continuity in the spread of mathematics and science. Or I could write about how there was a change made in it. Now, how could I do a change paragraph for this, for example? Here's what I was kind of thinking. I was kind of thinking I could go that there was a change because originally many of the math ideas during the classical period were in Greece and Italy, and I could give some examples from Greece. And I could say the change was that it spread to the Muslim world on trade routes, where they advanced many of these Greek ideas and spread them to many other parts of the world and formed different concepts like algebra using the original Greek knowledge. So again, I could put that as a change. Now, how would I write that? So let's look at how I make this into a change paragraph. I can say with a topic sentence, there was a change in how math ideas, which began in places like Greece and India in the classical era, spread to the Islamic world, and then beyond in the post-classical era. And again, I like using sentences like in places like, which implies that I know there's more about it, but I don't actually have to write about it. Next sentence, I'll start off with the classical era. So then I put in classical Greece, this included Euclid's theories and the invention of the astrolabe. We'll talk more about that a little later. So I've already established that classical Greece has some science, has some math going on there. And maybe I add one or two more details. You can look at the Prezi, you can find other information on that. Now I'll write how the Muslims changed and spread these ideas. And as long as I'm saying that, they spread these ideas to different places, that is a change because they did spread them to a lot more places. So I add the changes that Muslims made to some of these ideas, which that Prezi, for example, is full of, and then I talk about the areas they spread to. And I can do this, and I can have maybe a 7 to 8, 9 sentence, paragraph there, and it could be a change. Now, this could easily be a continuity paragraph, too. I could say there was a continuity in how math ideas spread from the classical era to post-classical. But I'm not going to do that because I need a change paragraph right now. So, the beauty of changing continuity over time is we can work on just the phrasing and how, spreading to more places is a change. But continuing spreading could be a continuity. So you kind of got to think, is it a change, is it a continuity? Or you can just, with some changing of words, make it from a change to a continuity, or a continuity to a change. But I'm confusing myself now. I'm back. So the change here is that spread to more places, and they changed it by advancing the ideas. And yes, that is a change. So I kind of got you started there. If you're don't really know what to do, you can kind of look at this, and I'm fine. We've never done a change in continuity over time paragraph before. You can use those examples if you want. If you want to go on your own, go for it. If we look a little further down here at our packet, what we have here, we do need another paragraph. We have printing and gunpowder. That was a change that occurred because of cultural exchanges. That could be a continuity, could be a change. Ooh, crops and disease pathogens. This reminds me of Era 2. Could I go back to Era 2 on this one? Oh yeah, look at this, AP Worldopedia 2.3. There's a whole section here on food like rice, sugarcane, and then disease pathogens. And then there's a whole section of disease pathogens. So that could be a continuity with cultural exchanges right there. Not too hard to write about that one. And if I wanted to go with food, rice, for example, well, there is a difference between rice and rice, or a continuity between rice and rice. I know. Rice did spread in the classical era, but chapa rice didn't come into China until the post-classical era in 1012. So that could be a continuity of sorts with food. You could put how there was rice, but then they got this new champa rice, which allowed people in China to live longer. Yeah, champa rice is strangely important on the AP. Well, it did let people in China live a lot longer. I suppose that's pretty important. Anyway, so this is what we have to do. As far as in introduction, same rule. So same rule with the introduction. The first thing you're going to need to do is to restate our prompt, which would be something like, there were changes and continuities that occurred in cross-cultural exchanges from the classical era to the post-classical, and then you do your rule of 3. How would you write your rule of 3? Glad you asked that. So take a look right here. We have a rephrased prompt. There were many changes and continuities that occurred in cross-cultural exchanges from the classical to post-classical era. Some of these changes included, if you got 1, put 1. If you got 2, put 2. Well, some of these continuities were, and there you go. Good luck. Have your rough draft ready for Monday, along with your packet completely finished. We'll go over the rough draft. We're going to turn all of this in on Tuesday of next week. Don't worry, you'll survive. Yes, yeah, actually, trust me, you will. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later. Hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you on Saturday at our DBQ.